All right. Welcome, everybody, to Thirsty Thursday. It is our Halloween edition, Halloween candy and wine pairing night. We'll also be talking about some Halloween movies this evening. But it's spooky season, so I get the awesome job to actually talk about all of our fun Halloween candy and wine pairing favorites. Um, Thank you to everybody who purchased your packaged kit from Lynfred Winery, where you got your full-size candy bars as well as the 4 wines we're going to be talking about tonight. If you didn't, no big deal. Whatever Halloween candy and Lynfred wine you have on hand will work perfectly fine. But let's dive right in. So, growing up, we had a very active trick-or-treating neighborhood. And my sister and I would come home with pillowcases full of candy from all around the greater Arlington area. And at the end of the night, we would dump out our pillowcases in the basement living room and sort out all of the candies by type. Probably a precursor for most of my OCD tendencies, but also an opportunity for us to sort of divvy up the candy for what were my favorites, what were her favorites, and then what was going to be good for the rest of the household. And then there was that like small portion that would end up in a decorative bowl for like 6 to 8 months, because it was the kind of stuff that nobody wants to eat, like those peanut butter things that were wrapped in the black and orange wax paper. If you love them, fantastic, but not the greatest for a little kid on Halloween to get those. So, as an adult, I'm not a costume person. I don't enjoy dressing up other than like my normal, this is what you get kind of with me. But I am still very much into the candy portion of Halloween. And so every year I buy like Costco-sized bags of Halloween candy, despite the fact that I'm not usually home on Halloween. So it's going to be flash forward to me for the next 3 weeks, like glass of wine in hand and a bunch of candy wrappers surrounding me, but while I'm watching Halloween movies. So we're going to try to marry all of those things together here tonight. But first things first, it is Thirsty Thursday, and I'm going to get our first wine poured, and that is our Sauvignon Blanc 2019. So Columbia Valley, Lodi, California Sauvignon Blanc. We're going to get to Columbia Valley a little bit later. But 100% Sauvignon Blanc. Cheers. Happy Thirsty Thursday. Oh, it's so good. This was my summertime favorite, and I'm going to find every excuse to drink it all through the winter because it's so delicious, so refreshing, so fruity, and it's going to pair with our first candy tonight. So let's get started with candy. So grab your Skittles. We're all going to taste the rainbow together here today. So always have to give you a little bit of historical context here. So Skittles, originally from the UK, and they were created in the mid-70s. They didn't arrive in the United States until 1979, which, fun fact, the year that Lynfred was founded, also the year that we got Skittles stateside. So, a great time to be alive, certainly, in 79. And to this day. The beautiful thing with Skittles is that you get all the beautiful different colors and flavors here. So, we could dissect this even further and go for each different type of color of Skittle and see if maybe it'll work differently with different wines. But just for today's working purposes, we're going to just make it happen with our Sauvignon Blanc 2019. So first things first, whenever we're doing food and wine pairing, you want to make sure that you get a sense of the wine on its own, get a sense of the food on its own, and then put the two together. So Sauvignon Blanc, Lodi, California grown, 100% Sauvignon Blanc, and it's got a nice bit of acidity to it, so I'm hoping the acidity is going to balance out some of the sweetness in the candy, but it's fruity enough to sort of match wits with some of these flavors here. So I'm just going to get a couple of these guys going. Eating on camera, as Christina can attest, is not something that you ever look forward to, but here we go. They're chewy. They're so delicious. I'll put these down. Okay. So now I tried the Skittles on their own just in case I forgot what they tasted like. And now trying to try them together. Kind of all congealing right now, but so what's really cool is the fruitiness is there and it's really strong, but that acidity is kind of refreshing my palate a little bit. It's toning down some of that sweetness on the candy without canceling out the fruity flavors from the candy. So I'm able to maintain that fruitiness, but not quite with the same amount of sweetness. if I'm looking for an alternative here, if I wanted to try to go sweet for sweet, the sangrias I think would be a really nice option here. I'd also be down to try this with the sparkling plum, which super limited stock right now. So if you don't have sparkling plum on hand, now's the time to get it. And then if we want to go for, these are traditional Skittles, which are amazing. There's also the tropical Skittles, so the teal bag ones, and those, that's what our mango wine tastes like to me. So tropical Skittles and mango wine, another opportunity there to keep things rolling. So taking a moment for our first film pairing here tonight. Had to get a little bit more of that Sauvignon Blanc. I'm going to take you on a journey to Haddonfield, Illinois. Jamie Lee Curtis is playing a high school student, and she's trying to make some babysitting money, hopefully get a date lined up for the weekend. And then a mental patient escapes from an asylum and starts slashing up the suburbs. So the movie is Halloween, of course. The fictional town of Haddonfield, of course. I wish we had the actual town of Haddonfield we could go visit. One of my all-time favorite, just traditional horror movies in that it's got the slasher flick, but it's not super gory. And you've got a little bit of everything. So you've got an amazing theme song, just that kind of scary beat that sort of follows Michael Myers every time he walks around the town. I mean, 70s clothing, can't go wrong with that. And then a future Real Housewife of Beverly Hills is in there. And serial killer wearing a William Shatner mask, driving a station wagon. You can't ask for anything better than that. Michael Myers, of course, is our clear villain here because of the killing and stuff. But an eagle-eyed viewer would notice that Laurie's friend Annie is the true villain. Annie's an awful person. Annie is like openly mocking her friend for not having a date. And then when Laurie sees Michael Myers hiding behind the hedge, she's like, oh, scared another one away. Just not supportive at all. And then she's supposed to be babysitting and just drops the kid off so she can go pick up her boyfriend. Maybe didn't deserve to get, killed in her car for that, spoiler alert. But ultimately, not the best friend and the true villain in the movie Halloween. We also get the added pleasure of Donald Pleasance running around in a trench coat with a gun. You don't get that in every movie, so major opportunity there. It is a classic, and to pair that, you always need another classic, which is our Lynfred classic, Fred's Red. So this is the new blend on Fred's Red. Fred's Red is now 95% Cabernet and 5% Petite Syrah, and delivers exactly what I'm looking for every time. That's the beauty with Fred's Red. Same beauty with Halloween. I know what I'm getting into with it, but with each new time I watch it or each new time I drink Fred's Red, I get a little something extra out of it. I've got a new reason to love it at the end of that. So we're getting our Fred's Red open, and Fred's Red is going to pair up with our next candy. And that is, of course, our good friend, the Twix Bar. So let me get just a little bit going here. Ooh, Fred's Red. So I haven't tried the new batch yet, so I'm very curious here. Fruit, like dark berry, a little chocolate. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to let that breathe for just a second because I want to talk about the Twix Bar. So another import from the UK, and the Twix Bar also came to the United States in 1979. So we got Lynfred, we got Skittles, and we got Twix, all in the same year in the US. And Twix Bar, of course, is the one with the cookie crunch. So we've got chocolate, caramel, or caramel, however you like to do it, and, of course, our chocolate coating. Comes in many different incarnations as well. But for my Seinfeld fans, this is the candy that was used in George's candy lineup when the maintenance man steals his candy from the vending machine. Oh, it smells like Twix. Okay, fantastic. So, with the Fred's Red, my hope here is that we're going to be able to sort of pick up on those chocolatey, caramely flavors into the wine. So, try the wine. Oh, this is such a good Fred's Red. Super, super tasty. It's the low tannin, but you still get a nice little bit of body and complexity in there. And, lots of lingering cherry. So let's try it with the candy. I've got my Twix Bar. So yeah, so chocolate meets chocolate. So chocolate notes in the wine meets the chocolate in the wine, or chocolate in the candy. Just delightful together. And then that little bit of the fruitiness is going to match wits really nicely with all that flavor of chocolate and caramel coming together. And realistically, you know, Fred's Red, always fantastic. We always love Fred's Red. But I think with a Twix Bar especially, it's going to work with any candy or any wine that you have on hand. So, you know, throw any type of red at it. In the drier family, I think we can also get away with the Sangria Rouge here. Or if you want to explore like one of the port wines, which have an inherent caramelly note to them, another opportunity to marry some of those flavors. So when you think about food and wine pairing, always think about what are the flavors I'm getting from the food, what are the flavors I'm getting from the wine. And I'm either going to try to complement or contrast. And so like with the Sauvignon Blanc, we wanted to complement the fruitiness, but contrast the sweetness. And that's why we had the Sauvignon Blanc, fruitier Sauvignon Blanc with nice acidity. On the Fred's Red here, I went all complement. I want chocolate, I want caramel on both ends of the spectrum to round out my palate. So, Fred's Red, super delicious, only $11 a bottle. Now is the time to pick this one up. I'm not sure how long we're going to have this particular blend, but 95 cab and 5% petite syrah, super delicious. So our next candy is celebrating its 100th birthday, and that is the Mounds Bar. So the Mounds Bar, sweetened coconut covered in dark chocolate. And when we think about wine, we get coconut notes from the oak. And so, and red wines sometimes have that inherent chocolatey quality to them as well. So, oh, this got a cardboard in it, that's why. I was fighting my Mounds Bar. So, my beautiful dark chocolate Mounds Bar. It's the kind of candy that for me just feels like it was made for wine. I also love an Almond Joy, so it's basically the same concept as a Mounds Bar, but with an almond and then covered in milk chocolate. If one day they ever wise up and do dark chocolate on the Almond Joy, I will know true bliss, but in the meantime, I can make this work. So we've got our sweetened coconut. So just smelling chocolate right now, but I'm sure once it hits my palate, I'll get the coconut notes. And, oh, I forgot to open the wine. Okay, with that one, we're pairing the Merlot 2017. So, Merlot 2017, this is the one that's joining us from the Columbia Valley in Washington. And I picked this one for two reasons. One being, there's some coconut notes to the wine itself that I think will work nicely here. Chocolatey is going to work well with that Merlot as well. But also, I know sometimes things like coconut can be polarizing, and so can wines like Merlot. And so, if you're nervous about Merlot, if you feel like every time you've had Merlot, it's just never done it for you, you got to try Lynfred Merlot. Andres and Rodrigo have a knack for creating beautifully complex Merlots, and I think part of the magic there is that we have not only skilled winemakers and phenomenal brand new oak on this, but also that they're getting the Merlot from regions like the Columbia Valley in Washington, where we get exceptional quality of Merlots from that beautiful soil composition, kind of that mix of all of these nutrients and other soil composition that came from the Missoula floods, which I know we've talked about before here. So Merlot 2017. I got the big swirling glass now so I can get some real movement going in here. And baking spice too. So with the baking spice, you think about, okay, when I'm cooking with something like coconut, something with chocolate, and that little bit of baking spice, all those sort of flavors that are going to work well together. Okay, yeah, if you didn't already get this, go out and buy it now, because it's, well, wait till the video's over, but then go out and buy it, because it's outstanding. So, time for the Mounds Bar. So chocolate, more cherry. Chocolate's really lingering, which is nice. And so the wine's just sort of, the fruitiness in the wine just kind of keeps hitting that little bit of chocolate as it sort of works its way through my palate. There's also a peppery quality here, which is really kind of cool. So that sweetness and the intensity from the chocolate, you're going to balance it out with some of that intensity from the peppery notes. Really, really tasty. Okay, big fan so far. So, while I dry out for a moment, talk about another movie. So kind of keeping with that polarizing theme, Coconut, Merlot. My next movie I'm always surprised is polarizing, but I found especially in recent years there's some people that are really adamantly against this movie or don't find it quotable, and that is Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, maybe on its face, is not like the greatest Halloween movie ever. Okay, I'll give you that. But, sorry, I need a moment. You've got cameo appearances by both Gary and Penny Marshall. There's a Bette Midler musical number in there. And then we also get Kathy Najimy as Mary Sanderson. Now, Kathy Najimy is one of those actors that makes everything she's in better. Take Sister Act, Soap Dish, Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, Veep. She's a national treasure and should be celebrated for her contribution to the American film industry. I absolutely love her, and my pairing for Hocus Pocus is another fantastic fall wine that unfortunately can also get a little polarizing. And I lost it. There it is. It is the Chardonnay. So, Chardonnay, you'll hear me go back to Chardonnay time and time again. Chardonnay is not the kind of thing that I reach for every single day of the week, but I have an appreciation for a grape that can handle it all. You can do it unoaked. You can do it oak-aged. So it can run the gamut on the white wine scale from being bright and refreshing all the way up to something that's going to be really sort of buttery and creamy and intense, almost mimicking the body and the texture of a red wine in a white wine package. Again, not a daily go-to for me, like say like a rosé or a Tempranillo, but gets the job done, much like Hocus Pocus. I'm such a fan of the movie that a couple years ago I was visiting some friends in Boston, and we took a trip out to Salem, and there's some spots from the movie where you can go and visit. And so one of the ones we went to was a cemetery from one of the scenes. And it was after dark, and it was fall, it was this time of year, and there's no one in the cemetery, it's super dark, and as we're sort of climbing up this hill to get a better vantage point of the whole cemetery, there's bats flying overhead, and it's eerily quiet. And so as we're sort of climbing this hill, it's just getting creepier and creepier, and looking at these sort of fake-looking headstones all over the place, and you start psyching yourself out a little bit. And then we got to the top of the hill, and like had that initial moment of like, what's going to happen next? And sure enough, on the other side of the hill, there was a bar that was having a party, and they were playing the Buster Poindexter song, Hot, 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 which, if you ever need to de-escalate a situation or sort of disarm a tense moment, Hot, Hot, Hot by Buster Poindexter, definitely something that is going to put a smile on your face. Nothing could be scary at that point because of Buster Poindexter. So there is my how to get out of a scary situation song choice for you. That was a bonus tonight. So we're going to come to the holy grail of candy for me, and that is the peanut butter cup. So Reese's Peanut Butter Cup dates back to 1928, so we're coming close to its 100th birthday. And it's pleasing in all forms to me. So you got the standard cup, you got the mini, you got the Reese's Pieces from E.T. fame, and then honorable mention, of course, for the ultimate peanut butter and chocolate ratio, which is the Easter egg that Reese's does. Outstanding, something that I have to stock up on immediately when it comes out for Easter season. I also like to keep my Reese's in the freezer. So let me go grab my Reese's. And my Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. If I can get it open. It's going to be delicious. I mean, as long as I'm getting cavities, I might as well break a tooth in the process too, right? So, here we go. Alright, so the beautiful Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And with that, I'm actually going to a customer recommendation for our pairing. So, whenever we have blackberry wine on the tasting menu, one of our wheeling members, Yvette, always says she wants peanut butter with it. And so I thought, what a perfect opportunity for us to celebrate chocolate and peanut butter with the blackberry wine. So, I didn't do a good job of bartending, so I have to undo my corkscrew here. Oh, I don't have another glass. Okay. Hold up. Cleanse the palate with some Sauvignon Blanc. Ooh. Nice acidity. All right, blackberry wine time. So blackberry, of course, made with 100% blackberry. We don't throw any grapes or anything else in there. And it just smells like blackberry jam. There's also a little bit of an herbaceous quality to it. Like, kind of faintly minty. Nice sweetness, and then you get this really nice sharp tartness to it. So, let's make it happen with some peanut butter and chocolate. Reese's peanut butter cup. It's like if you married a PB&J and a Nutella sandwich and kind of put it all together there. So delicious. And then that nice little bit of kind of refreshing acidity that you get from the blackberry wine. Just outstanding. Jammy. Really, really good. So, much like the Lynfred wine list, I have a hard time picking my favorites. And so, same deal with Halloween movies. So, some other ones to consider just with any of our favorite Lynfred wines here. Beetlejuice. I was just listening to the soundtrack earlier while I was carving pumpkins. And outstanding. Plus, you got Michael Keaton and Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis. Just hilarious. The Scream franchise, if you're looking for something a little bit scarier, but has some comedy associated with it. And on the comedy realm, Transylvania 65000. It's from the early 80s. It's Ed Begley Jr., Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and they're reporters that go to Transylvania to find Frankenstein. Outstanding movie, definitely worth your time. Kramer, Michael Richards, is in it as well, so definitely worth checking out. Death Becomes Her, so you got Meryl and Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis. Super, super awesome there. Again, sort of in the scary vein, and I think a little underrated from the late 90s, is Urban Legends. So it's college students, and they're in like an American folklore class, and they find out about all these urban legends, and then it starts happening to them on campus. It's an enjoyable one. It's not like the greatest, scary movie, but scary enough. And then Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. You can't go wrong with that. Outstanding all the time. But as far as something that's going to be awesome for me from start to finish, something that I look forward to watching every year is Addams Family Values. So, comically macabre, Addams Family shaken up when Uncle Fester gets engaged to the nanny, played by Chicago legend Joan Cusack. Her role alone and her ending monologue makes the movie for me, but then we get this added bonus of them sending Wednesday and Pugsley to a summer camp with Christine Baranski and Peter McNichol. There's a Thanksgiving pageant that's just outstanding. Hilarious. And as if the movie wasn't already iconic enough, we also get a cameo from Tony Shalhoub performing Macho Man in a bar. I live for it. And a little bit of a kind of a loose tie to Halloween there. It's good all year round. But so is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. So is Lynfred wine. So I can just pop that whenever I want and enjoy it with a beautiful glass of Lynfred wine. I hope you all have a very happy and safe Halloween. And thank you for your continued support of us at Lynfred Winery as we have faced our rollback to Phase 3. We're continuing to offer outdoor service by reservation, and we've got our warm spiced wines being served in both Wheeling and Roselle. So call us to book your reservations. But in the meantime, enjoy your candy. Cheers and trick or treat. So good.